What's up, boys? Welcome back to another private lesson. Today we have another star player here in Aquarium, playing for Team Roddy, of course. Usually I think around 686 for Terran. Play against a Zerg barcode with the disgusting hatchery skin. I think the Zerg barcode was about 5.9k or 5.8k. So Aquarium told me he's been struggling with TVZ a little bit. Obviously very welcome in the private lessons, guys. You know, even I get tired of watching TVPs and telling you guys to stop making Marines. So we got a nice TVZ here for us today. 23 minutes long, so pretty long. Gonna try to not pause it too much. Knowing myself, I probably won't manage. I always love to pause the game and explain some random things. But it's a cool TVZ. I don't think Aquarian actually said too much about it. He just called the replay shameless or shameful Aquarian performance or something like this. So we'll have to see. In general, Aquarian, I think he plays macro, but he tries to play a little bit weird. Like I think I know him from when he used to play mech with all banshee and stuff like that. These days he seems more standard though. Also one of the younger talents in Europe. I'm not sure how old he is exactly. Maybe like 17 or 18, or 19 or 20, 21. You know, something like that. 22 maybe. Anyway, looks like we're going for a standard build. Ice and Chrome as well. Honestly, pretty decent map. I think most people think it's good for Zerg, but I think it's alright. Especially with that Diz with 2-on-1 spot, you know. So let's see what mistakes our boy is gonna make here. He's gonna start with an SCV scout, very nice. Don't really wanna lose because you miss a pull first or anything like that. Once again, guys, in scouting at TVZ is very simple. All this SCV really does is scout. I'm pausing. There you go. Is scout if it's a pull first or a hatch first. That's all you need to know. And then if you want to be extra tryhard, you can deny the third for a bit, which is what Aquarian is doing. And in this case, the Zerg just takes the other third. Sometimes it can be a really good move though. If you play a map like Eternal Empire, where there's no other third base to take, like there's only one option, denying the third can actually be really good. But honestly, I'm not a fan anymore because of the very popular 2-base meta build. Like I feel like if you deny the third base for too long, they're just gonna play 2-base muta, and that, I mean, it's a really annoying build to deal with. So most of the time, I would rather let them have the third base than playing against 2-base muta. Good Reaper micro here. Obviously, Zerg not really paying attention. Almost a double kill. Good stuff. So looks like we're actually going for a 2-base opener with the double gas. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Banshee or a Liberator. Anything else would actually be kind of unexpected. So far, so good. I didn't really pay attention to the build too much because I think a player this caliber probably not going to be making any mistakes in the early build order. Pretty confident in that. Really good Reaper micro so far, actually. Getting the Creep Tumor, getting a drone as well. Very good stuff. Very uThermal-like, right, guys? My YouTube Reapers are always massively successful. So it looks like we're gonna be going for the Banshee. Honestly, I used to dislike Banshee play, but now I think it's kind of alright actually. People have been road challenging a bit more again. So Banshee is definitely the craziest choice. Another really good Creep Tumor snipe here. Yeah, honestly, the early game looks very smooth so far. Nothing to complain about really. Build is going well. This Overlord has been in this base a bit too long uncontested. Like, obviously, the Marine should have been on that a bit ago. But, I mean, honestly, the Overlord is going to scout what you're doing anyway, unless you have, like, a particular amount of defense. Like, if you have multiple Marines or a Viking, which you can't even have at this point yet, then you can deny the Overlord, but it's going to scout anything anyway. So, if you do miss that, it's no big deal. Ideally, you would have killed it a bit faster, of course, but that's it. Oh, this is a pretty cool wall-off, actually. I wonder if this is more efficient than the regular one. A lot of times people build their CC on the outside, and then there's more surface area for Zerglings, so it's nice to see him do it right. And so let's see. I do have to say one thing about Banshee, is that Banshee is one of those builds where if you don't get damage done, or if they don't play roaches, you may end up being a little bit behind. So in this case, Aquarian was the better player in terms of MMR at least. So Banshee is very understandable, but I do have to add that if you play a 2-base Banshee and you don't get any damage, you are going to be a little bit behind. As you can see in the drone count, just made 13 drones, it's going to be up to 52. And the third base is not particularly fast for us. I'm not a huge fan of sending the banshee with the Hellions. Like if you don't play Hellbats, then the banshee is better off going here. Like you can send the Hellions here. I'm gonna pause real quick. Hellions are a really big threat to Zerglings in like any count. So they always want to send the queens there, and then you can come with the banshee in another base. That's the point. But going with a banshee where all the queens are without having Hellbats to maybe take out the queens is, yeah, not the biggest fan of that. If I'm completely honest. Second banshee on the way now. Double gas. Okay, looks alright. One recent adjustment that I see made, by the way, that I really like, is you can only make the third gas and then get your 2 barracks and then get the 4th gas. And as you can see, it's not going to bother you in any of your production, but it allows you to get your 4th and 5th barracks up a little bit faster. So try to go for the E-base, 3rd gas, 4th and 5th barracks, and then the 4th gas. I think it allows for a better flow of production with the resources here. Okay, so that was pretty good. I think we killed 2 queens at the front here. Is that true? Well, I can't tell anymore because there are Zerglings in there. This is kind of funny, actually. You know, a lot of Zergs play Lair before upgrades, but he's playing the upgrade style, so... And he just doesn't move the Spore. Does he know these things can unburrow? Like... Oh, okay, he's gonna lose the spawning pool. He doesn't even try to unburrow the Spore. He's just like, ah, I'll just make a new one. Who cares? Screw it. That's kind of funny. Okay. Now syncing up the Banshees, that's a cool move. Queen's still somewhere in the Wild West. Man, I have to say, this... the Hellion usage has been so good. Like, so much creep denied, so much link damage done. Like, this just looks like a complete pro game when it comes to the Hellion usage. Like I said, wasn't a huge fan of the Banshee at the front, but those early game unit usage beside it has been really good. The Reaper as well, like absolutely fantastic, to be honest. And this Lair skin is also kind of... Oh well. I won't poison your opinions, guys. Think about it what you want. And now the cloak energy is low, we're gonna go back. I would like to see those repaired, actually. Those can be useful later on. Okay, let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, looks fine so far. I thought... Let's see. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with the gas time. Like, those barracks are actually very late. Like, you're honestly missing out on a lot of production with those being so late. Like, those could have already been finished for a long time now. So we're gonna push here. This is honestly not the best location to push. This map, it's pretty big. But it does have some really cool areas where you can push, like this one. Okay, you can easily deny this fort with a tank push here. If it's here, you can actually siege your tank up here or something like this. Like, there's actually some cool positions to push. But straight to the middle, where it's very open and very easy to flank, is probably not the best idea. So I would say that was definitely a bit of a poor unit movement there. Look, another mistake in your production and stuff is that you're going... Where's the second factory? You're going for a second factory. But if you go for anything that's not the 8 racks all in, you need to take your 5th gas a lot faster. Like, if you look now, you can barely afford your 2-2, not even, and then absolutely nothing else. You're not even going to be able to make a tech lab on this or +1 attack. If you want to do anything that's not the 8 racks, 4 gas all in, you actually need to start this 5th gas a lot faster. Even if you're playing mines, because then you'll be able to afford medevacs for drops, drilling claws, etc., add-ons, while actually making your upgrades as well. So if you, yeah, just get your 5th gas earlier if you do something like this. Honestly, the Zerg, I feel like he's been losing so much creep, but it's still pretty decent. I think he's been doing a decent job recovering. 2-2 on the way for both players as well. Yeah, honestly, this game was looking really good up until this trade over here. Units lost still good, obviously, as usual in Terran's favor in TVZ. But this trade was pretty bad. But up until that, besides that, it was very good. So let's see, now we're gonna be harassing a bit. That's kind of what you want to do as well. Now I'm curious. Okay, so we're going for a double tech lab. Honestly, this style is a little bit outdated if I'm completely honest. Mass tank style hasn't really been in the meta for a while, so this is definitely a bit off meta. Maybe it's because you scouted the Hydra then? No, you didn't actually. I really wonder what your reasoning is behind this to go for a double tank production against what looks like jostling Bane or maybe even Muda. Like, there's no idea right now from your point of view what it could be. Macro is really good though, to be honest. Getting your 5cc ready as well. Honestly, you're keeping up with the Zerg in bases, which is pretty insane, you know. That shows that you're doing a great job macroing and stuff like that. Not sure how many SCs were lost there. About 10. Good move by the Zerg for sure. Well, I didn't even see those Zerglings on the minimap. That's pretty crazy. Okay. So it looks like you're just kind of sharking around, waiting for that 2-2 timing. I have to go back to the 5 gas point a little bit because you've made a second factory, but you actually haven't benefited in production from this at all, and this is also not going to benefit your 2-2 timing at all. So yeah, it seems like the gas timings, we noticed the 4th gas timing was a bit off before. It was way too early, and then the 5th gas was too late. And then actually is costing you a bit in production. Like, I think you actually could have had a lot more supply at this point. Well, you're going for 2-2. Banshees didn't get repaired, but still being annoying, killing an extractor. Honestly good stuff still. I wonder what the end game plan is though. It looks like it's going to be a big tank push. One thing I would like to suggest, by the way, is if you play against Hydras, like right now, I'm just going to keep playing because I remember it's a long replay. Against Hydralisks, usually you don't want to make mines, right? But there's also something in between just playing tanks and mines. What I actually like to do is to go for 1 tech lab and 1 reactor, like normal with mines. But instead of just making mines, you actually make tanks from the tech lab factory. And in that way you can have mines for the run by, but you can still have tanks to shoot from long range and not have Hydras pick off all your mines and stuff. I actually felt like this was one of the best ways to deal with Hydralisk play, to make both of them. Okay, so this looks like a good trade for you. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the splits are. Actually, a surprisingly good fight for the Zerg. Not a single really big tank shot, and all the bio going down. That was actually kind of crazy. I really didn't expect that to go well for the Zerg at all. It looked like he was going to kill the PF, but then he just bulldozered in. Sometimes it happens, guys, if you don't have the perfect focus fire, tanks don't get their big shots off, and that's actually what happened, and it ended up being a pretty decent trade for the Zerg. Honestly, a bit unfortunate there. I mean, obviously could have probably tank fired a bit better, but for all the tanks to kind of whiff like that is not... yeah, sometimes it just comes down to bad luck. So that's a bit unfortunate. We do have 5 bases up. The rate you're getting your bases up is very good. Got that 4th base on time, getting that 5th base on time. Like I said, the macro is looking completely on point, guys. The resources are relatively low. Bases are all getting saturated. Did miss that +3 attacks, sadly. That could be a big deal later if you do forget about that. But yeah. I have to get back to my double tank point a bit as well. Honestly, if you play 2 factory tanks, it's just really hard to defend Runbys, because... how many links was this? This was like 20 links. If you keep 20 links at home, or you keep 2 tanks at home against 20 links, those tanks actually die. If you keep a Widow Mine, the Widow Mine shoots at the links, probably kills a bunch and then lives. And tanks are actually kind of expensive in this way. So, I don't know, I feel like you make the game a lot harder for yourself by playing tanks. And more importantly, perhaps, you make the game easy for your Zerg opponent. If you play against tanks, you just have to be really passive. If you move out, your army is slow. And I feel like you kind of give the Zerg more MMR, if you understand what I mean. Like, this 5-9 Zerg can probably play as well as a 6-3 Zerg if you play tanks. Because every time you move out, you have to take it slow, you have to siege, your army can move. And it's very easy to do run-bys, it's going to be hard to defend those. Even in the big battles, it's not like tanks are amazing, so Zerg has a lot of time to set up a big concave as well. I feel like... I do that so often. I feel like the tanks just slow the game down a bit too much, and this is definitely not what you want to do when you are supposedly the better player, or at least higher in MMR in my opinion. So here we go, he's just gonna attack straight into the tanks. As you can see, tanks not really getting any big shots off, and they're all gonna go down. Now it looks pretty okay, but we did lose our 4th base, which is pretty crucial here. And now these 2 bases are last mining. Little bit of missaturation, I guess, on this base, but that's kind of a detail, not the biggest deal. Oh, this is an amazing fight for us. Let's go. Killing so many Hydras. I hear some Banelings finishing though. Oh, there they are. Oh no. I know you can do this. Really good splits. Sadly, didn't really have enough units to win the fight there. Reinforcements coming though. And this Zerg has so many units. What's his drone count? 74. Okay. Like, this looks like a proper army he had at the front, but then he still had a bunch of Hydras here. Honestly, you're dealing with it pretty well. I think we're low on medevacs a little bit. Yeah. Oh, that sucks. Gonna lose 3 tanks here. Yeah, this shows that tanks are really not that good on their own. There were 3 tanks, and they just got destroyed like that by a few Hydras. With tanks, you kind of... Like I said, Widowmines are really good on their own. You can just burrow them and they'll shoot at a few links or whatever and then survive unless there's an Overseer. But the tanks are definitely not that good on their own. So you always need to babysit them. And even though this fight over here on the right side was good for you, it did cost you a few tanks in the natural there, which kind of sucks. Honestly, the Zerg is just sending his units all over the place. Oh, you really need those medevacs. The medevacs are coming now, but your bio is very low. Oof. And this is really rough. I also... Wait a second. This is... Guys. Finally I can give the opposite advice. You're doing the reverse TVP. You're making mass Marauders against the guy with a Hydrolink Bane. That's like... Oh god. You know how I always tell you guys when you play against Colossus, stop making so many Marines? Well... If you don't play against Ultras, guys, or Roaches, you really don't need this many tech labs. Like, let's go back to that fight a little bit. Obviously, the army is a bit low. It's not the greatest fight, but you can see how little damage the Bio army does to the Zerglings and how far you need to run. And that's just because there's too many Marauders. Your Marines are the DPS against this army. Marauders are just against armored units. And those Banelings can just roll forward, no problem, kind of own everything. And the main problem here was actually just that you had too many Marauders, funnily enough. In general, 4 tech labs on the barracks is already a bit questionable, even against Ultras. I do it sometimes too. But at max, you should usually get 3. And if you play against Hydrolink Bane, you don't need Marauders against that composition at all. You can get away with just making Marines pretty much. Marines and tanks. Marauders are really just for the Ultralisk. Like, Marauders are not that great to tank against Link Bane, because they just... Yeah, they tank, but they also just die. If the Banelings don't crash into them, they just die for nothing pretty much, so... Try to not make that many tech labs. Like, as you can see, you're making an army that's like... This army is meant to beat Ultralisks or mass Roaches, you know. Not to battle Hydrolink Bane. Like, against Hydrolink Bane, you need Marines mostly. And some tanks or some Widowmines. But really not... Like, you're making 4 Marauders, 2 tanks at a time, you know. It's a little bit much. Maybe you scanned his hive or something, we're afraid. Yeah, you did scan his hive, looks like. Or saw it with the Banshee, perhaps. And that's even more sad that you're making so many Marauders while the only big tech he has is a Greater Spire. Also, one thing I do have to note is... why are all your bases orbitals? You have 5 orbitals. Like, I feel like a lot of this bad stuff started because this was an orbital. A Runby came in here, once again. A Runby entered there. And he got a lot of damage, you had to pull away. And then he just kept attacking there. And because this was an orbital for some reason, he took so much damage. Like, those outside bases definitely have to be planetaries. I always say, Terran late game is good because you have orbitals, but it doesn't mean you need to defend your bases with orbitals, you know. Like, that definitely should have been a planetary over there. This one was actually a planetary, I know, by the way. But it died earlier. But you did remake it with an orbital. Like, you didn't fly anything, you actually put another orbital there. So that's pretty crazy. Like, I'm not sure how you're expecting to defend Runbys with this. Good drop here, for sure. But yeah, you can't defend Runbys with everything just being orbitals. It's even if you're Maru, you need a little bit more than 500 APM. You also need the units and buildings to deal with stuff, you know. Oh, there's so many SCVs going down again. How many SCVs were killed in this game? 99 workers. This is like... Oh my, that's actually incredible. That's like reverse. That's usually what the opposite looks like if you have an insane game. You lost 99 workers because you didn't make planetaries, pretty much. And there was also a Ling, a Bane run by at the start that killed 10. Or more, even 15 or maybe. So yeah, honestly, it gets, I don't know. This is very, I've actually never seen this. I've only seen this with mech. It's very weird to me that you're playing bio without making planetaries. You're gonna get another base snipe. Like, your drops are doing most of the work at this point. I feel like most of your pushes didn't do that great. The drops are doing fantastic though, so I'm glad you're keeping those up. And now you're actually switching to a better army comp. I saw 1 Marauder and 8 Marines in production there for a bit. Hope that keeps up. The income's probably... Well, the income's actually looking okay with all... You just launched 6 meals, so that's nice. Definitely a bit behind in the economy though. Oh. They have the Adrenal upgrade. That's painful. Here we go again. The weakness of tanks, guys, I'm telling you. They suck so bad. Did you just see that? What did they do? They killed a Zergling in some air, you know. Like, they're not doing anything, guys. Aquarion, ditch the mass tanks, buddy. This is not... It's not 2016 anymore. At least we're fixing the composition. Well, like, once again, I don't want to repeat myself too much. But I am. And you're losing everything because you don't have a proper defense. Like, no mines, and more importantly, no planetaries. Look how much you're losing just because links are running into your bases for free. This base even died, I guess? Yeah, it did. That base even died. Okay. Like, if you didn't have such good drops and such early game unit control, you would have gotten smashed this game. Right now, it's still very close. I would say Zerg has a decent lead. Or like a very slight lead, I mean. Like, he's surprised. The CC even died. He's like, huh? Where's my CC to kill? And look, now you're doing it correctly. Now you're getting those mass marines out. You realized, I think. That's very good that you adapt mid-game. That's awesome. But at this point, yeah, you already lost a lot of your stuff. You already lost a lot of battles. And at this point, it's going to be rough. Like, the thing is, this Zerg has 3-3 with Adrenal Glands links. And... yeah, if you try to get another base up, you need to protect it super well, or like a handful of links are just gonna completely ruin your day. This base is also very exposed right now. And to defend you on creep, all he has to do is morph some banings, to be honest. Like, attacking is... Look at his gas! Oh my god! I don't think I've ever seen a Zerg have this much gas. 5,000... Oh my goodness. I think that's like 4 million banelings. Yeah, once again, Link's killing everything because there's no defense. I feel like that's what I like about this. It was in the last private lesson as well, the TVT. The same mistakes are being made over and over in the same game, which makes it very obvious what the flaws are. And that's very helpful for you guys, I think. For me, it's kind of annoying because I feel like I'm just repeating myself all the time. But for you guys, it's helpful because after games like this, it's very obvious what to fix, I think. Oh, those banelings. You could have just destroyed everything here so easily if it wasn't for those Banes. You're still gonna destroy it, looks like. 3-3 links killing everything. And this game is very close, actually. Banelings don't do anything at this point. What do we have left for the Zerg here? 20 drones against 3. Yeah, that's a problem. 2 orbitals, I believe. 2 orbitals. Also, important thing to note here is that you lost 3 orbitals to just Zerglings on like the last 5 minutes. If you have 5 orbitals in this scenario, I feel pretty confident for you, to be honest. If you can secure this base or this one, whatever, with 5 orbitals, you're actually gonna match him in production. Now you're slowly gonna fall behind. Also, imagine if this guy saturated his stuff properly. 5,000 gas. Jesus. What can you do with 5,000 gas? Make 67 battlecruisers. Supply is pretty high. No, no. Oh, that's like 4 Marines dying as well. That's pretty bad. And also, you're a bit unlucky to have missed this base. I think you killed it before, so you didn't think about it. But this base is actually going to be mining now for a bit. This game is still very close. What's the army? 20. Yeah, the 21 Zerglings. It doesn't sound like much, guys. But 21 Zerglings against this small of an army with Adrenal Glands. Those Zerglings are strong. Those Zerglings are very strong. Bailey's connecting on Marauders. That's nice. But those Zerglings are gonna do a good enough job here. A few more coming in. Ooh, and that's a lot of drones actually. We do have mules. It's like mules against like the last 3 drones left. What a sick game, to be honest. Oh, they do so much damage. Like the tanks, they disappear so fast. The Adrenal Glands, man. That's like such a nice late game upgrade because you can just make a few links and send them everywhere. And at this point, yeah, what is there left to do? Make Marines. lift it over, launch a bunch of mules. I don't know if it's still winnable at this point. Look at the income. I think that the 3 SCVs plus 2 mules is probably gonna amount to about half of the Zerg's income. But since the Zerg has all the map control and you will never be able to move out, that's not gonna be enough. Supply looks pretty good because you have a decent army. But don't forget that it's about the upgrades right now. Like, links are just half a supply. This is 31 Zerglings, guys. Probably more on the way soon as well. I think he might even attack you, even though he's the one in the economic lead. How many mules is this? 3 mules. Okay, so we're almost even in income. Not bad for now, but this base is also about to mine out. You know, I feel like I casted half this game instead of analyzing it. But I think that's cool as well. At least we identified the mistakes we needed to identify, right? How long was it? 1 minute more. Yeah, I think he's actually gonna attack you with the links. And so the biggest mistakes, I would say in the build you had a few things to fix. The gas timings, the 4th and the 5th gas timing both. The style is like I said, it's just outdated. The mass tank style, in my opinion, is just not as great as the hybrid style or just Widowmine style. Against Hydras, I'd probably play the hybrid style, so 1 factory making tanks and 1 making Widowmines. And then the army composition was pretty bad the entire game. It was like Mass Marauder tank against Hydroling Bane. It was very problematic. Complete lack of planetaries. Like the most crucial mistake, perhaps, not being able to defend any of your bases against Runbys. All your bases were orbitals. Also, this game got so close that not lifting your orbitals to save them from links was a pretty big mistake as well. Like, you could have had 5 orbitals. Maybe it would have won you this game. We don't know. Look at the supply. You probably would have been on 70-80 supply now if you had those extra mules, you know. Pretty crucial mistake as well. And yeah, all of those combined gave you a nice minus 34-ish on the ladder. Baneling's almost connecting, but not quite. But yeah, those Zerglings are good enough on their own, guy. I don't have to say it anymore. Adrenal gland Zerglings. Chewing through everything. Or clawing in GG. Honestly, pretty epic game. I just gave you the conclusion so I don't have to do it again. In my opinion, very fixable mistakes. So the next time I see a game of you, I don't want to see the same mistakes again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Don't forget to like and sub. And see you guys next time. Adios.